I'm going to do a review of the HUDSON Sawyer sawmill. I've had this mill about 2 years, and so I've used it enough to kind of say, oh, well, this is what it's about. Overall, just quickly, I think it's a great mill, especially for the money. I've used some nicer ones, but this one seems to be really well built. If you compare it to maybe like the Harbor Freight one, that one feels kind of flimsy. It's very simply constructed, but you can tell that it's all really overbuilt. Everything about it is pretty simple, even stuff like this. I wish this tank was a little better, but you could use whatever you want. You have to continually make sure that you've got wing nuts tightened on those blade covers, it seems like. Maybe mine's just got a little bit of a vibration to it because I don't have it dialed in correctly. It seems like this one's always the one that goes. It's got a little Honda knockoff motor. I think it's 7 horse maybe. I don't know, but it's plenty to do the job. Right now I'm milling some white oak, some post oak, and it's pretty hard stuff, and it cuts through it without an issue. I have enough track to cut a 9'6" board if I really just had to. It's tough because you don't have much clearance. I mean, that's perfectly 9'6", you know, there's not a lot of breathing room that way. But it seems to do the job. It's served me well so far. I've done all kinds of things with it. Right now I'm cutting up some beams for a house I'm building. I have made dimensional lumber. I have made cabinet stock, you know, rough cuts and then process them. But been a pretty good mill. It uses a 12-foot blade, I'm pretty sure. And I've got a friend who sharpens these blades, and so I've only got 2 of them, and I have yet to buy any more, knock on wood. But I obviously don't use it a ton, but it's one of those tools that's so great to have when you need it or to help friends out. Now, the issues that I have with this mill, I'll start with the good stuff and then talk about the things that are not as good. The issues I have lie in the log dog system, and I know there's people who have done other things. So what they've got going on is once you make a cant, you can square it up. Let me find one against this little guy right here. And that's okay if you have a big cant, but if you're working with little stuff, it didn't work so well. These right here are pretty tough to use. I end up using a hammer. I've kind of come up with a system to do it. And then they give you this kind of, let me pull it out, this cheesy thing. And what it ends up doing is you stand it up. I don't know if I can get it to stay. You stand it up and screw it into the end of the log. And I've used it twice. It does a decent job. You'd be surprised. But that's kind of cheesy. This is the biggest thing, though. If I could upgrade these, that would be wonderful. And I put mine in the wrong spot because I mostly mill little bitty logs for cabinet stuff. The second issue is that this track does not stay together very well. This little spot right here, you will always see a little bump. It's a hard spot to get through. The way you could combat this is just buy angle iron. And I probably will do that later. Right now, and this is what they recommended, was to lag bolt your track system onto treated posts, 6x6. I think I used 4x4s and then put another 2x next to it. But I gave myself some extra, and I'll probably extend it out with aluminum or just buy angle iron. It's nothing special. You can get this kind of stuff in most metal supply places. But those are the issues that I have, the kind of negative stuff. Now, going back to the positive, the most positive thing about this whole situation, besides the fact that they make a really good mill, is you can call this number right here and a person will answer the phone. I would picture this company to have like 25 people work for it, because I've called them 3 times and it's always the same couple people. They have one or 2 guys that are really good with the troubleshooting. There are guys that do the parts, and they are fantastic for customer service. I didn't realize it, and this was let me see if I can see you, but this belt right here, of course, I know, maybe it's the other one. No, it's that one. What seemed to be really loose, and it's normal, But I was able to call it, and 2 minutes later, like, yeah, that's how it should be. You know, it kind of reassured me. But wonderful that you can actually still call somebody and get somebody to answer, and they know what they're talking about. They're not just low-wage idiots. Like, these guys make these things. I bought this kind of, wasn't new, but the guy didn't assemble it. It was just sitting around, so he was missing a few things. I kind of added this Harbor Freight ruler for my scale, and it's not great, but I tend to just use a tape measure and put marks on the log and line them up that way. Sometimes this is not as tight as I'd like it to be, but you know, I think it does a pretty good job. Now, the water system, I was using my friend's HM126 a while ago, and his is automatic. When you push the throttle messes on the engine. But yes, they have a throttle that also turns your water on. That's kind of a nice feature to have, but you know, it works. And so last thing, and then I'll show it in action, but I've got this little bolt right here is what tensions the blade, and I've got a Harbor Freight torque wrench that I use. I think the torque setting is like 28 pounds or something like that. So when I'm done using it, I'll unscrew it and then give it some cranks till it, you know, it clicks. But overall, it's been a good mill. I don't know what the price is on these anymore. I think I have $2,200 in it, which is probably cheaper than they sell for now. But I bought it used. It was missing a few parts, and I had to pony up some money for that. But I could see this thing really performing if you used it like I do for a decade or more before you really start having to pull out the welder and figure some things out. The track will fail before anything else does. If I could figure out some different restraints for the logs, this machine would be 10 out of 10. As it stands, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10 just because of the value for money. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Here's a little bit of footage of it in action.